Redditors who have hired a private investigator. What did you discover? My aunt hired a pie because she suspected her husband of cheating on her. The stereotypical why does he have to stay at work for so long all of a sudden? Instead she found out that he stayed at work after he was done so he could play poker and crack a cold one in peace. When she confronted him about it, he got so mad, flying into a rage, that he confessed to her how annoying and controlling she actually is. They worked it out, saved their marriage, and built a house though. Sometimes I turn my phone a little away from my girlfriend so she doesn't see quite the extent of my nerdiness. I think she probably thinks I'm discreetly looking at porn, but really, I'm heading down a sci-fi Reddit rabbit hole or looking at PCs with bright colored lights so he could play poker and crack a cold one in peace. I think everyone knows this feeling to one degree or another. Ah yes, the good ol' I'm having problems because I'm the problem. My vindictive aunt hired one to spy on me, and the guy found out quite a bit about me, like my dental records and stuff. I mean, I'm a pretty boring person with nothing to hide, so the guy didn't find much to use against me. Why was she so vindictive? Like what made her want to hire a pie? So you're admitting you have teeth? I knew you had a mucking cavity, you lying nasty person, biatch frick. Being able to get access to your medical records like that sounds like a HIPAA lawsuit waiting to pay you. My brother hired a pie against me, and then, when the pie couldn't find anything, my brother wanted me to reimburse him for hiring the pie because I misled him into thinking I was hiding something when I said I wasn't hiding anything. Edit. To answer the questions, it was about money. Yes. He is stupid. Yes. He believes canon. Yes. I still have some contact with him because he is the victim of his own stupidity. No. He is not my favorite brother. My other two are amazing. His name is not Dwight Schrute. I'm struggling to get my head around just what your brother's thought process was. What did he suspect you were hiding? My coworker hired one to track down his first car he ever owned so he could buy it back. Cleanest E28 I've ever seen in person, that is it. Wow. I've never had a comment blow up like this before. I very nearly bought a well-preserved E28 last year, but someone got it before I did. It's the one that got away. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Friend hired a private investigator to look into her boyfriend who she thought was cheating on her. The dude wasn't cheating, he was plotting his proposal. I did not hire a pie, but I had a couple of moments that I thought my then boyfriend was cheating. That or he was going to propose. We had been together 7 years. The proposal seemed more likely, but he suddenly wouldn't let me grab his phone in the car for the GPS. Long enough ago it didn't play out loud. He also had suddenly started needing to see his sisters on the weekends a few times without me. They had private phone calls. Of course I couldn't know who he was talking to. The sisters also were very sketchy during this time. Then it all stopped for a few months. Until he proposed. The best was his 7-year-old niece knew the entire time and even knew where the ring was hidden. Probably the first secret she kept her entire 7 years. But she had her eye on a flower girl position. Proposal to her or another girl. An affair that my wife had been lying to me about for a year. I got incredibly damning photos that I texted to both of them just after calling my wife on the phone and having her lie to me once more. Was her name Seattle by chance? Dang. Hope things are better for you now. My friend hired someone only to find out his wife was just eating out alone in parking lots without him. Lol. So is she cheating, sir? I don't know how to tell you this, but she's cheating? I knew it. No. She's going out to dinner alone, specifically to get a quiet moment away from you. That's pretty hilarious actually. Well, this is just a description of me. A relative of mine who was cheating on his wife hired an investigator because he was suspicious that his wife was having an affair with another man. Can you believe this? I can. Projection is a surprisingly common motive when it comes to crap like this. My ex-wife used to accuse me of having affairs all the time. Surprise surprise, she was having an affair. My wife and I adopted our son from another country when he was 3. You don't get many records. But we did have the national ID number for his birth mom. We hired a pie to track down his family. He found the birth mom Older sister and younger sister on the way. We have a recorded interview between the pie and birth mom, where she shares how our son's pregnancy was a secret not even her teenage daughter knows, and how she feared she could not care for him. We share some photos of our son with the birth mom, and talk back and forth a little bit awkwardly, thorough Google Translate. Our son's birth family knows about him now, and I think our getting in touch is the reason she kept her new baby. The mom appears to be concerned for his well-being and wants to make sure he plays soccer and not American football. When our son is older we plan to share all this with him and let him decide if he would like to meet them. Some of the best money we ever spent. Edit. Yes, our son knows he is adopted and we discuss it with him in age appropriate ways. We just haven't shared information about his birth family yet. He's only 4 years old. Also he is from Eastern Europe. Edit 2. There seems to be a high level of concern in the replies about what sport our son plays. I'm sorry to all the American football fans, but we are a soccer family. We already have a jersey from his home country ready for him to wear. Very wholesome. This is refreshingly wholesome in a thread full of cheating spouses and inheritance feuds. Thank you for sharing. I worked for a private investigator. The dumbest cases were when people filed fraudulent workers' comp cases and then posted pictures all over their social media of themselves skydiving and deuce when they alleged that they couldn't even walk. It was unbelievable the videos and pictures people would post after filing these claims with companies who had deuce tons of money. Amapi in California. One workers' comp case the claimant claimed that he couldn't walk more than 5 paces unless he had crutches, walker, or wheelchair. Was doing routine surveillance at his house when he came outside and changed all 4 tires on his truck. Got video of the tires being delivered where he hopped into the bed of the truck, picked up new tires, hopped down from the truck bed. Then he proceeded to crouch down for extended periods of time as he undid all the lug nuts laid under the car while getting the jack ready, jacking up the car, and fully replacing all 4 tires. Couldn't walk more than 5 paces without crutches though. No doubt that some people absolutely abuse the system. And as someone with a real health issue it sucks. Although I've never missed a day of work due to my autoimmune problems, and I do not claim for any disability benefit etc. But as a specific example, autoimmune diseases can be particularly on and off. My particular health issue is psoriatic arthritis. One week I can be in the gym powerlifting or playing football/baseball with zero issues, just a bit of joint tenderness. The next week it can be painful to brush my hair and change gear in my car. I was looking for a lost family member. I discovered he wasn't living anywhere under his name, he wasn't in jail, and that he hadn't collected his VA benefits. Turns out he was living homeless on the street. But the pie didn't find that part. Is he still on the streets, or has the van assisted him with housing? Copy and paste from a story I posted on a thread about co-workers who imploded. I didn't hire the pie, but did help my company hire one. Years ago when I was working at a small engineering firm, we fired a soil technician after a week. Well, kind of. When he came in for his first day he was wearing slacks, button-up shirt, and a tie, which was odd because soil techs spend most of their time in the field on site, usually pre-foundation, so lots of mud and dirt. Plus most of your job involves digging test pits or taking soil density readings important later, which guarantees you're going to be filthy at the end of the day. Standard dresses, carhartts, steel toe boots, and shirt, maybe one with the company logo as you're feeling fancy. Couple people who worked with him those first days immediately commented that there was just something off with him, but couldn't put a finger on it. So we invited him to come grab a beer with us after work one day to see what was up. We sit down, and after a pitcher he starts up about he can only have 4 or 5 beers because he had to go pick up his girlfriend's kid from school in an hour because his girlfriend is doing a 2-month stint in county for getting caught with a large quantity of crystal. Then he starts ranting about how annoyed he was that the kid had to stay with him instead of grandma because grandma's house was where they usually cooked and he couldn't smoke crystal when the kid was around. Then he asks us if we wanted to buy any, and he could get us a great deal on bulk meth. Like this came out within 15 minutes of us sitting down with a pitcher of beer. My other co-workers and I all are looking at each going, what in the actual muck? Lol, we weren't prudes. Half of us smoke reefer, but WTF. We killed that pitcher in 5 minutes flat and all pieced out immediately while he went to grab another. He must have had enough synapses firing to realize he had perhaps shared too much information, because he didn't show up for work the next day, didn't call in sick, give notice. Nothing, just Maya. Normally that's just a dick move to the others who have to cover your hours, but this freaking guy, he went home with a company truck, laptop, and cell phone, and a very sensitive piece of equipment. I stated earlier that one of the things soils techs do is measure soil density on sites. This was done with a Traxler nuclear densometer. Yes, it's radioactive. You have to register this device with US nuclear regulatory agencies. People who use them wear a card that measures how much you've been exposed to, which gets sent out to said agencies quarterly for testing. You have to log where the device goes, and if you lose 1 year engineering, firm is FUCKED. Oh, and they are expensive, like 6 figures expensive. And this dude just decided to roll home with his. 2 days go by and our president and principal engineers are losing their poop because they are going to have call the feds to report it missing, which will start an investigation that will likely shut us down. One of the engineers half-jokingly suggested we hire a private investigator to see if we could track him down, and our president immediately tasked me with this. This was the late 90s, so I actually looked someone up in the freaking yellow pages lol. The pie shows up at our business and starts asking us questions. Looking at his hiring paperwork, we checked his home address. It was his mom's, and she basically told us to tell him to muck off if we find him, and then getting an inventory of the items he stole. The second he saw the phone and carrier, he got excited. We were using the latest and greatest Blackberries of the time, and apparently that iteration had a GPS chip. He logged into a special page dedicated to Leo's. No idea how he had access, punched in the phone and IMEI number, and I'll be damned if it didn't pull up a location not too far from us. He then asked if we wanted to call the police, but we said no thank you. Paid him and 3 of us drove to the area and started looking for the truck. Took us 10 minutes to find it parked in the driveway of some trap house, complete with a big neon yellow lockbox covered in danger and radiation symbols. We knock on the door, which was already open, and walked to find this freaking guy sitting down, playing some PlayStation with a couple friends with a smoking bong in the middle of them. Weirdly enough, the dude was wearing slacks, button-up shirt and tie, like he did at work. Anyways, he sees us just staring at him speechless and just says, "Oh hey, that wasn't working out, so I was going to call in and quit. When do you want me to drop my gear off?" 3 of us look at each other trying to find the words, but the engineer who came with us said, "Just give me the keys to the truck, you butthole." Barely looks up from the TV and tosses them over. Not proud of it, but I kicked that freaking glass bong on the way out and watched it smash against the wall. I know. Dude, you never break a bong, but I needed to do something for my satisfaction. He worked there for 5 days total. I just wanted you to know that I read this comment in its entirety and appreciate the fact that you took the time to write it. It's a shame this wasn't posted sooner, because it's one of the more interesting stories I've read. That a scummy competitor who ripped off my branding. 90% word for word on business name. Copy and graphics, had several serious felony charges, including getting caught red-handed robbing someone at gunpoint by a passing police officer. What did you do with that info? I hire a private investigator about once a year to give me an update on my stalker to ensure he's not looking for me again. It costs a lot of money, but I sleep easier. Also, stalker is dying of cancer, and I feel pretty good about that. I hope you get the peace you deserve sooner rather than later. Had one used against me, thanks current father-in-law. He found out that I was seriously a desperately boring person. Aside from my boring work and education history, he learned of 2 of my exes and the fact that they were pretty boring too, though one sadly struggled with an eating disorder. I don't think he knew what. Yeah, Yak played World of Warcraft with his last ex a lot meant, but yeah. He learned I was adopted and had grown up with a very nice pair of parents, non-BO. Obviously, until this second, I assumed he had wasted his money and ended up with literally no interesting info. I'm kinda curious if the guy found out about my BO parents and wonder if that colored his view of me. So did you guys ever talk about it? Found out that they are very expensive. I gave it a search. Most commonly, though, private investigators charge an hourly rate, depending on your location, complexity of the work, and expertise of the private investigator. Fees can range from 40 to over 100 per hour, with the average somewhere around 50 an hour in the United States. I don't know how accurate this is, but damn. My parents hired one for my ex-boyfriend while we were still together during the last year of our relationship with my permission. We were together for 7 years. Things they found out and passed on to me. My ex had a second apartment that was in my name that he was splitting with another guy. Not sure how he managed that because he was home with me every night. Second apartment was 2 miles away from our place at the time. Ex had second bank account hidden from me, which he deposited half his salary into to pay for his part of the rent over there. Ex had second car which he would drive when he went to go hang out with that guy. Second guy had no idea about me, was cheating on both of us with at least 2 other guys as well. Seemed none of us knew about each other. Ex had HIV which he hid from at least me, maybe his others as well. He would keep his scripts in the car. Ex had been fired from his previous job and was working for a totally new company. Ex also had a huge life insurance policy on me. Him talking huge. I was young and naive when we first got together and never asked questions about the paperwork I was signing because I trusted him and thought him having me go to the doctors for the yearly physical was just part of what I needed to do to keep our regular health insurance. He was also very controlling and manipulative, so I didn't really have much of an option but to believe him. This all started because we could never figure out why we were always broke and how we could never pay our bills on time. My parents expected a gambling problem. Not all of this. I'm sure they found out more stuff, just didn't tell me about it, which I'm totally okay with. Dude, let's back up to that HIV thing. You got yourself tested, right? Edit. I appreciate all the info about the meds and what have you for living with HIV, but my primary issue with all that is that a dude ducked up and decided to not mention they had the gold medal winner of Steez. As a lifelong true crime nut, that life insurance policy gave me chills. Let me tell you, it's the mother of all red flags. My dumbass read the first half of this just assuming you were female and your ex was just hanging out with his bro and not telling you. Holy deuce.